Okay, so we're diving into a case that has had more twists and turns than a roller coaster. I'm talking about the AP Rocky trial, a story about a Hollywood confrontation and a whole lot of legal drama.
Yeah, it's a wild one.
So, let's rewind back to that night in Hollywood, November 6, 2021. Picture this. AAP Rocky, famous rapper, gets into a heated argument with his former friend, AAP Rally, right outside a hotel. Things escalate fast.
Oh boy.
We're talking a grazed knuckle, shouting matches, the whole 9 yards. But here's where it gets murky. Was a gun actually involved?
Right.
Rocky claimed he pulled out a prop gun just to try to de-escalate the situation. Relly, on the other hand, said he felt seriously threatened, like his life was in danger. And the security footage, well, let's just say it didn't exactly paint a clear picture.
So right off the bat, you've got this like he said, she said situation, and that becomes super important later on.
Totally. Now, hold on to your hats because things are about to get even crazier. Fast forward to August 2022, and Relly drops a bombshell. He files a civil lawsuit against Rocky. He's going after Rocky for assault, battery, emotional distress, the whole legal shebang, looking for a big payout. But wait, there's more. In April 2023, the state of California throws its hat in the ring too and files criminal charges against Rocky.
Wow, so now it's not just about money anymore.
Exactly. We're talking about potential prison time for Rocky. Assault with a semi-automatic firearm? That's the charge.
See, this is what I find so interesting about this case. You've got Relly pursuing a civil case, which is all about getting financial compensation for damages. But then you have the state coming in with criminal charges, which are about punishment, potentially putting Rocky behind bars. Two very different legal avenues, both stemming from the same incident.
Right. And it's important to remember the backdrop of all of this. Rocky's relationship with Rihanna. Throughout this entire ordeal, she's right by his side, showing unwavering support. Imagine the pressure they were both under.
Yeah, it's definitely a high-profile situation.
Okay, so let's jump ahead to January 2025. The trial finally begins in Los Angeles. All eyes are on the courtroom. The tension, you could cut it with a knife.
I bet.
Relly takes the stand and doubles down on his claims, saying Rocky threatened him with a real gun. He's painting a picture of fear and danger. But then the prosecution throws a curveball. They present audio recordings that they say captured the sound of gunshots from that night. On top of that, they bring out text messages from Relly that seem to suggest he might have had, shall we say, ulterior motives for going after Rocky.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, one of the messages allegedly said, "Get me a good lawyer, ASAP." And there were others that hinted at potential financial motivations.
Interesting. So now the prosecution is trying to poke holes in Relly's story, make him look less credible to the jury.
Exactly. And it definitely seems to have had an impact. You could feel the shift in the courtroom when those texts were revealed.
So what happened next?
Weeks go by, filled with testimony and legal arguments back and forth, back and forth. Then finally, on February 18, 2025, the jury is sent off to deliberate. Talk about a pressure cooker situation.
Yeah.
They have to sift through mountains of evidence and decide whether Rocky pulled the trigger on a real gun.
That's a lot of responsibility.
No kidding. And then the next day, February 19th, the verdict comes in. Not guilty.
Wow.
Not guilty on both felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm. You can see the relief wash over Rocky as he thanked the jury, saying they had saved his life. It was an intense moment.
So what do you think? What led to that verdict? Do you think it was the fact that there wasn't any clear visual evidence of an actual gunshot? Or was it those text messages from Relly that really swayed the jury? Or maybe a bit of both?
Yeah, it's hard to say for sure what went on in that jury room, but I think you bring up a really important point. The prosecution had to prove Rocky's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. And it seems like those text messages, combined with the lack of that, smoking gun, literally, created enough doubt in the jurors' minds to lead to an acquittal.
That makes sense.
And we can't forget about the elephant in the room, the media frenzy surrounding this whole case. Every single development was plastered across headlines. Do you think all that public scrutiny could have played a role in the final outcome?
I think it's definitely possible. You know how it is. The court of public opinion often runs alongside the actual legal system. It's hard to completely separate the two. So it wouldn't surprise me if that pressure, that constant media attention, somehow seeped into the jury's deliberations.
Yeah, it's a lot to consider. So here we are, Rocky Watts free, but where do we go from here? What does this verdict mean for his career, his reputation, and what about Relly? How does this whole ordeal impact him?
It's a good question. This case really gives us a peek behind the curtain of fame and fortune, doesn't it? We see how quickly things can go wrong, how personal relationships can get tangled up with legal battles, and how public perception can play such a powerful role.
It's a lot to think about, that's for sure.
It is.
And on that note, we're going to wrap things up. But before we go, I want to leave you with a question to ponder. In a world where social media and celebrity culture often dictate the narrative, how can we ensure that justice is truly served? Something to think about.
Definitely.
Until next time.